Yeah.
Dude, my hair's all over the place. Bro.
God damn it, Costco.
All right. Woo!
Ric Flair. Woo!
Yeah.
Fire sirens.
Yeah! Is he coming in?
It's like,
You know, look.
we've been trying to find his balls, though. I don't know where.
You find him, man? He says that you might.
3,
At the end.
2, 1, you're on. And welcome to the WatchTower Podcast.
Sit down.
Two. Stop all the noise. Quiet on
Sit
set.
down. You're making me nervous.
That hat's making me
All
nervous.
right. Here we go.
Welcome back,
Where are we at right now?
ladies and gentlemen.
Gentlemen. Why are they gentlemen?
I'm not
I think they were rough at some point, and
Nah, the rough men have to sit outside. It's really,
gentle, bro. I'm the big spoon, bro.
you're the
really.
big
Yeah,
spoon.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing but gentle.
Who's Little Spoon? That's what I thought.
And I was little spoon.
Mother, here we go.
Mother.
Tell your children not to walk. No.
Welcome
We
back.
are
Jesus,
back
son of a bitch.
to the Watchtower
We should start with a tape around his mouth. and
Podcast?
1, 2, 3.
Give me the thing. Give me the thing.
I know.
with a story. This is the story of God. Story of his. This podcast is now in 3D. Welcome back.
Welcome back indeed.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. I'm gonna make you eat that mic.
You know what I love is that Eric's here, and Eric, I think, is gonna see that the way I talk is the same as the way I give my handshakes. Very bad, you know.
Terrible.
Eric, can you do me a solid and make sure that cam's like seeing me? Okay.
It's lit.
It's lit.
It is. Does it see
Alright,
me?
Rolling, yeah.
No. Does it see me? That's what I mean.
Does it see him?
Okay. Okay. That's
So we
good.
haven't started. I thought this was already going.
Welcome
Today
back.
we are talking about.
Is it me or is that camera kind of like...
Today
That's pretty
on
proud bubble.
Okay, bro.
today on the WatchTower Podcast, sponsored by Colgate, we are talking about
Just started, bro.
2012 film Mother by Roman
2017,
Polanski.
2017, bro.
This film was it's really shot.
Welcome
People-
back to the WatchTower
There we go.
Podcast, the film review podcast from the Towercast Network. You have your fellow cinephiles here. Let me introduce my fellow co-host, Mr. Michael Delo.
I'm a cinephile.
He's a cinephile. And a
careful with this.
cinnamon cinephile.
Cinephile.
And Mr. John Eric Castro.
The actor's perspective.
Yeah.
Say cinephile 3 times fast.
I'm gonna say pedophile, dude. I'm avoiding that.
Cinephile, cinephile.
And I'm your fellow host, Carlos Alatorre, giving
Woo!
you a writing, directing perspective on an interesting choice today. Today we're going to be talking about Darren Aronofsky's 2017 films starring Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem amongst a pretty great cast. We're talking about Mother today! Exclamation point.
Mother! Exclamation.
Mother! Exclamation point.
Why the exclamation?
I have a theory, and,
Exactly.
and Darren actually
Oh, really?
stated why.
I
His
researched it.
answer is much less climactic than my theory, I
Yeah.
think. But we'll talk about
Wow.
it. This is
Wow.
Mr. John Eric Castro's choice. This is his pick. This which was very interesting, very a little out of left field for you. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of it's
Oh, no, this is actually
art house. I mean,
it's super art house.
This is definitely not my type of film.
It's Aronofsky.
Yeah. It's just my type of films are heist, cable guy,
yeah,
comedy stuff.
yeah.
But this one was just very different because I went to a Catholic school. I grew up, believing and there's a God out there, and
Right.
this film gave a different perspective on that story that I've heard thousands of times, and it's one of those films where I don't think I could create a film like this. I don't think I could write a film like this.
I thought about that after watching it, and considering the making of the film, man. I mean, he wrote the script, the first draft. He wrote this thing in 5 days.
Nah.
Yeah.
He wrote this
There's
thing
no
in
way.
5 days.
He got like,
First draft.
Yeah.
but I mean, like, he talks about frantically just
A
like he
fever
had an
dream.
idea and then he just like went into
He
it.
literally describes it as a fever dream. And I'll get into why. But ratings. We gotta give this film a rating. Should we start with our fellow individual who I have to introduce as well, Mr. Austin Young, making sure we're sounding good on the ones.
I like that. I want to hear Austin's rating.
I wish we had a camera pointing at you that you're like lifting your cup to the crowd, but he's lifting his cup to you guys.
By the way, we're doing this since our Film Cafe episode. Any person not on screen gets a fun fact and a shout out. So, fun fact about Austin: his favorite color doesn't exist. Go ahead, Austin. What's your rating?
That's good.
Rating.
Taking a sip from his Coke.
Jack and Coke. It's Friday
It's coffee.
baby.
It's coffee. It's not. I'm not an alcoholic.
Nobody even went there. Okay.
That is not a rating. That's a personal statement.
No, but you
Rating.
get a
Rating.
7-11.
7 from Eric who hasn't seen it yet.
I know, man. It's your type of film too, dude.
No, Austin
Dig it.
just told me before we started recording that.
Yeah.
Thinks
So
it
I'm gonna give it a 6.5 to start with.
Okay,
Wow.
To start with.
Elaborate on
Dang,
that. Elaborate.
are you going with what I was saying the other day?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But, hold on.
I feel like I understood only 25% of the movie.
That's what I was gonna ask.
So
Okay.
I think the more we talk
Fair,
about
fair,
it
fair.
and it unravels, my rating will
Yeah.
go up.
All right.
And
You
then
guys are-
you're fired.
No. Well, you'll go last.
Yeah.
This is your
This
pick.
way?
This is your pick. This is your pick. So 6.5 for Mr.
6.5.
I'd like to get your rating first.
Why?
Just
Yeah, go for it.
yeah, Carlos.
Okay, so
No explanation, just rating.
Yeah, just rate it.
I give it a 7.5. Bro, you guys
Dude.
7.5. And leaning closer towards an 8. I you know what? I'll give it an 8.
Okay.
I'll give it an 8. To
Now-
start, I'm at an 8. I'm
now-
at a fair 8.
Let me give my rating, but I'm gonna give a little explanation because I
No
see.
explanation, just numbers.
Okay, number then explanation.
Yeah.
Before you say it, was this the first time you watched it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same here.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and it makes more sense because I saw it a second time and it went up.
Oh, okay.
It better not be below 6, bro.
Starting
Really?
6.9.
6.9.
That's not bad.
6.9.
That's not bad. I mean, that's
How about yourself?
But okay. Oh, I forgot. You have to give a 69 for the man in the back.
me. It's one of those films that I watched it the second time and it went from like
And don't like
I'm
listen
curious.
to our ratings
Yeah,
because
yeah.
our
I'm
ratings
also
are
curious.
purely based off of.
you would think that I would.
Take it back really quick. Take it back. The first time you watched it, what would you have rated that? What would you have rated it the first time you watched it?
Probably like a solid 8.8.
Okay.
Okay, first time. Okay.
Just because I watched it.
And you said it went up from that.
Yes. Because the second time I watched it yesterday and I saw the details.
Uh-huh.
I understood what the whole symbolism of
Yeah.
the whole tone that it was going with. So it went from an 8.8 to, and you would think since it's something that I just said that it's something I don't think I could ever create, so it would be probably like a 10, right? But some of the stuff obviously I didn't like.
Yeah.
But I put it up there with like it went up to a 9.6.
9.6.
Wow.
Wow.
I come from religion. I'm not
No,
saying I'm
no,
a
no,
big religious
I
guy.
understand.
It's just
But
I've heard
it's-
this story millions of times, and I'm just like, how
This
can
is
a
the one that
writer
hit
get-
hard, right?
Yeah. And by the way,
How come-
generally with our ratings, when we initially give our ratings, we're coming at you not from a storyteller's perspective, not from directors, writers, producers. We're coming at you from audience members.
Exactly.
Just general audience members.
Yes.
With a little, we each have our own little thing that
Right,
we
With a
we
little
specialize in.
spice.
So 9.6, 8.0, 6.9, 6.5.
And
6.5.
no, and I'll say this. I don't think I've rated a film like this before, but it was so much to unpack and still so much to unpack
Yeah.
that
I
I
think that's
feel
why.
I feel like
No, yeah.
it was kind of like on a technical front.
Yeah.
This thing knocked it out of the water as far as like execution and what they were going for. The rest of the points are made up with me trying to really understand like the intention behind it.
Okay, so what was it? 6.9. Where's the other 3.1? What was it that lacked that you were like?
I just
When did they have
it's
to do that?
it's understanding the symbolism behind it because right now if it's just images without intent, then I don't understand it.
You mentioned last night
Okay.
that I think is important to note for your rating, which Austin has already expressed. The reason he's at a 6.5 is because he only understood 25% of the film. Now, for somebody, you and I grew up in the religious
Exactly.
kind of background, right? So we were heavily, this is grinded into our, branded into our brains to a certain degree. The law stated, I didn't get it until I got it. And even when I got it, I only caught few points.
So
that's important to note because it
Yeah.
wasn't just like, oh, I hated it. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was just
are
like,
you
No.
familiar? Are you a religious person? Are you familiar? Are you? I don't know. I
I
don't
was
know.
gonna say something, but it's not work
it's not of
appropriate.
great taste.
Yeah, it's not a
No,
great
hey,
taste.
anybody could be atheist.
No. No, I did grow up religious, and I still go to church with my family.
Okay.
And that's what helped me understand some of the images because when they had like the ashes on the forehead and like people holding the little like the sign and all that kind of stuff, all those church-esque images, that's what really solidified the stories that they're kind of talking about. But in the way that it was executed and all the little elements, because I mean this guy was picking up everything. He was just like, wait a minute, I think I know where this is going. And then he started listing all these names.
That's why I want to watch it with you guys.
Yeah, no. He listed all these names and like biblical references, and then
Yeah.
I was thinking like, oh, okay, I know, I've heard the name, and I generally know
By
the
way,
story.
That was just me trying to figure it out, right? Like it wasn't just like, all right.
No,
this
but
is
it's.
what-
I'm saying that just to say, it's amazing how much is packed into.
Exactly, because to you guys' credit, I still don't get it all. Eh?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I
And-
understand the
and
Adam
I'll
and Eve.
say-
and
Well,
all
look. That, before we even get into that,
Yeah.
if you're watching this, our hope is that you actually saw the film.
Yes.
At its very foundational level, this film is about a couple, a married couple, who are.
Are they
basically-
married?
Yeah, they're married.
Are they married?
Yeah, she refers to him as his wife.
No.
Especially when he
Other people do.
No, well, sure, but no. When he introduces to the people that walk in, it's my wife.
No, they always give them a different name. That's kind of like a key point, is that they never establish this strong relationship between them. And then that's when she kind of brings up like, oh, like they haven't had a child, and whose fault is it? And you know, it's kind of like,
Oh, okay.
Michelle,
Here it is.
Michelle Pfeiffer, man.
A relationship who are settling into a new house.
Okay,
is it
yeah.
a new house?
Yeah. Well,
No, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. No, that is.
it's
It has to
not yes to the first time viewers.
Okay, go ahead. I'll stop.
Until we get to the end, and
Okay,
we
I'll
know
stop.
that it's yes.
Yeah, I still don't understand that though.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah, that's
Okay.
one.
It's a great point. But
Yeah.
my point is, to the unobservant, non-religious person.
Okay,
this is
so
just this is
it's a
just at its
couple
foundational level.
in a new house.
In a new house, settling in, who basically get bombarded by a series of character strangers that get welcomed into their house. and-
Are they strangers?
Yes, they're strangers to her. Anyways,
To her, yeah, that's
so
pretty good.
anyways,
No.
But yeah, this is just at its most foundational level. This is what's happening. Basically, this couple gets bombarded with situations that they neither welcomed. Well, I guess he welcomed them to a certain degree, but
That's the whole
yeah.
conflict.
But they weren't seeking this out to a certain degree, right?
Whoa.
Foundational level, allegorical level. That's where we start talking about all the religious imagery, right?
Yeah,
Just
that-
at its foundation, it's about a couple in a new house getting settled, and then they get hit with strangers.
They get hit
coming
with
to
strangers, and
the house. That's just foundational level.
the strangers kind of commandeer
Everything.
everything.
Yeah, everything. But allegorically,
It's not a
this
new
is
house.
an allegory, a biblical allegory to God, who is played by Javier Bardem,
Which is
And he's more
the poet.
Yeah, he's more officially credited as him with a capital H.
Uh-huh.
That's important.
He's a writer.
because The rest of the cast are all lowercase.
Oh.
So every single cast member or character name in the credits is lowercase. Only his is with a capital H.
Even
Little detail, I love
Biblically,
that.
that is accurate in terms of referring to God.
Mhm.
In the Christian Bible and the Jewish
Yeah,
Bible,
always.
and with the Torah, this is when you're referring to God, it's capitals.
Always.
Always. So just something to note. But for the credits, Darren Aronofsky has confirmed that this is an actual thing. He did that on purpose. Because the first initial people watch this film in theaters and are like, well, what the hell was this about? Okay, was it about God? Did Javier Bardem play God? And Darren's answer was, watch the credits and look for the capital in the credits.
So what do you
I'll
mean though?
answer your question.
So he was right.
Yeah, he was God.
He was the
He was
yeah,
God. You say that he's the
poet.
poet, and the reason that he's named the poet variously in this film is because. Oh,
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say the reason for this is because sure, a poet is a writer, a writer's a creator, right? The word a pietas, a Greek word, if you don't know this about the Bible, The Bible was translated from Hebrew to Greek and from Greek to basically every other language after that. King James is very famous for transcribing it into English. That's kind of where it came. But the Greek word for pietas is poet. And poet in its Greek nature means creator. So when you create art, when you create poems,
the way I just took
that's
it,
what it was.
the way I took it is that he's God himself, and he's trying to find inspiration through Mother Nature, which is the Earth, and he just doesn't know. Oh, man, see, that's a lot of impact.
What do you think? Because I have a bone to pick with this film. There's only really one bone. Well, I mean, there's really one bone that just bothered me about this film. That is in relation to that. But why? Why do you say like what is he doing?
Because at first I thought like, all right, he lost faith in humanity, but then he found Mother Earth, and it's kind of like
from the get-go, you felt that?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because it starts off with everything burnt, and then that fireball. And then it's like, all right, and then she shows up, and then it kind of starts skipping through.
It's a revamping for him.
Exactly.
It's a renaissance.
But then he's like in a roadblock where he can't write until things start happening, which is reality. I mean, human life.
The weird catch-22 there, right, is the poet has, we're artists. We get inspired through life, and life inspires art, and art inspires life. The poet doesn't get inspired until something happens to him, right?
Exactly.
In this scenario, the poet is also causing it. One would argue, he's responsible for all of this. And if you're a Christian, you believe that God has control over everything, and He sets in motion everything. So He's controlling what's inspiring him, which is a really weird catch-22.
Wow, yeah.
So anyways, that's kind of getting deep into philosophical talk. Let's go back to the film. You start seeing the imagery. We all started seeing it differently. I started picking up on it. To be fair, I knew what the allegory was about. This film came out 5 years ago. Okay, so I heard talks about what this film was about. Mother Nature, Bardem plays God, there's a whole dynamic, boom. I didn't know that they were going to take us not only through the entire, basically...
Human history.
It wasn't just biblically. It was human history up to this point.
Up
to where we're at, basically. And it's also a cautionary tale on where humanity can lie if we continue doing this shit.
Oh, right? Shit. So, okay.
That's the ending. That's the last
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense for, I guess, the cautionary tale of Beyond, right?
You could also argue that that's biblical, right? Eric, who's here, loves the book of Revelations. In the Bible, the book of Revelations is exactly that, the apocalypse, and where humanity destroys itself.
No, it's... what I was going to add on to that, there's so much to talk about.
So much to unpack.
But I guess maybe a good way to kind of tackle it first is...
Well, it's a price story, right? Let's talk about story and metaphor and symbolism.
Well, I was going to say, what did each of you get out of it? Because I think this is super... It's a super interpretive piece. There's a lot of different elements. Maybe kind of like what you were saying. The part that you noticed, or when you kind of started seeing it, when was that for you? When did you start seeing that religious imagery that started kicking it off?
I started seeing the religious imagery. I really started taking hold. Unfortunately, it started because the whole thing with the glass heart. Let's call it the glass heart.
The fireball crystal.
The crystal.
Yeah,
you're right. It's crystal. The crystal. The whole thing about the crystal, I thought, oh, that's a twist. Okay. He's very protective of this. I started making fun of the film. I started saying, oh, it's Tahiti from Moana. the heart of the island.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I just started all right, I kind of just set that aside. I didn't really, okay, cool. It's important. He's protecting it. She's helping him protect it. But she's doing it out of love. She's not doing it out of protecting the thing. She's doing it for him.
Yeah, because it's the only thing that survived. Yeah.
Boom, right? Yeah, and he tells a story from my childhood. This is the only thing that survived in the fire, right? But where I started taking hold of it was when the brothers came in.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. That's where
I got it from Michelle.
From what did
yeah, her, well, okay.
What did she do that made you feel like
Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer are a couple. They're the strangers who are first introduced to us. First being the operative word.
Yeah, and then we get to know that. Well, metaphorically, it's Adam and Eve.
Right. Metaphorically, allegory. Adam and Eve show up. They're strangers. What's very interesting is this. Let's tackle.
Well, hold
that
on.
for a
Let
minute.
me.
Let's tackle that. Let's tackle that.
When I started seeing
Yeah.
when it was the religious part, and this is where it really got me, is when Ed Harris is so fascinated with the fireball, and there's a little subtleties in acting where he's kind of like trying to touch it. He's like,
He's
"Oh no,
almost
no!"
desperate,
And
right?
he's almost desperate,
Yeah,
almost
yeah,
desperate.
yeah.
And he doesn't let him touch it. He kind of like plays it around and just puts it back in.
Yeah.
And when Michelle Pfeiffer comes in,
She's
yeah, and this is what what's the director's name? Darren
Aronofsky.
Yeah, I think he does such a beautiful job at building up the chaos because it starts off with
Oh
her.
my goodness,
and at
yeah.
the ending, it's just not her. You know what I mean?
Oh, by the way.
So I think that's where I started getting where it's like that's the
Yeah.
apple of Adam and Eve. Like that's the thing that you're not
you caught
supposed to
that
touch
right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Okay.
Really?
I didn't. I
Yeah.
gotta be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's 'cause
I
went
much
to
like
kindergarten.
much like
It's kindergarten,
Carlos, I kind of caught it at that moment with the brothers and that whole image of him holding.
brothers?
Yeah, because it's Cain and Abel and him holding
yeah.
up the stone and he's about to like
Yeah, yeah,
strike
yeah.
him.
It's a
But it's 'cause with me-
Yeah, in this one it's a
With-
doorknob.
Well, with me, it's because it didn't. That's not the whole story. Somebody told him to kill him. God.
No.
No,
You're
no.
confusing it. That's
Oh, that's
Abraham.
another one?
That's Abraham killing Isaac. his
See,
son.
by like 5th grade, I
That's
stopped.
no, that's a different. By the way, I was waiting.
Oh,
for
okay,
that.
so that's okay.
Here's the quirky part.
That's pretty good though.
Abraham, the lineage, biblically, lineage is very important.
Yeah.
Very important. Like, there's a whole book called Numbers that literally just lists Jewish lineage for 10 chapters. Like, this is like, it's very important. Lineage is very important. The reason I say that is because the lineage of Jesus Christ in the New Testament derives from David in the Old Testament. David's a huge character in the Bible.
Yeah,
And then-
yeah.
But David everybody is a direct lineage of Adam and Eve, right?
Mhm.
The evil that was introduced to the world. So that's where I caught it. Austin, did you catch it at a different
Wow,
place?
that's pretty cool. Yeah, when did you catch it?
It was last Saturday. I was at a bar.
We're not talking about COVID or herpes, Austin. We're talking
Oh,
about
I thought we were talking about Hertz. My bad.
Herbs.
With the gifts. On the
Oh,
baby
that's
boy.
right.
that
That's
is
right.
pretty
You
good.
caught it. You caught it with the birth of the child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was
okay,
super cool.
that was-
Well,
Which
Took
makes
you
you
long enough.
understand, right? 25% of the film.
I mean-
you
Yeah,
only
yeah.
understand
No,
50%.
but-
Sure, now I
He's
get it.
understanding from the New Testament forward, basically, biblically.
Oh, okay.
You know, so
yeah.
the whole Old Testament he didn't catch. It just didn't.
yeah, and I was gonna say in kind of sitting with the film and
Yeah.
thinking about different scenes and events that happened, the pipes breaking on the flood. I was thinking that was really
Oh, me
interesting.
too, but I was like, nah,
No,
that's
it
too
was-
far
it
fetched.
No,
It
yeah,
was-
because
it was?
It wasn't. Let me tell you why.
it cleaned Mother
Everybody
Earth.
left.
Yeah.
Everybody left after the flood.
Yeah, and then she comes on in and there's water and all that
Wow.
kind of stuff, and then
can never write
she
something
even
like that.
has
That's
a
insane.
she even has like a statement the next day, and she's like, "Well, I'm gonna clean up the apocalypse," and it's funny, but that's essentially what it was. It was
What-
cleaning the
let's
world.
Let's
and,
back up, yes, but yes, this film is
Catch that.
filled, jam packed with moments like these. So
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
back it up really quick because I want to talk about Adam and Eve. Their introduction. Ed Helms comes, which I thought was really interesting contrast, by the way. Ed Harris. Ed Harris. Ed Helms
Harris.
is a comedic actor.
Yeah, it hurt.
Ed Harris comes in, basically saying, "I thought this was a B&B. They told me this was a room
Oh
for
yeah,
rent place,
on
right?"
the whole,
He
yeah.
comes in, and this man is sick. He's coughing up the lung most of the time he's on screen. But when he's coming in, he's by himself. He just starts to take. They offer him a room, being generous.
And for some reason, Javier the poet is so fascinated with him.
yeah, he's just
Which has to do with
But
God. not-
Jennifer Lawrence is much, and this is really great imagery. Jennifer Lawrence is like, okay, how can I help? Just being kind of, being
Accommodating.
being accommodating, being a hostess. But it's not until he starts smoking that she catches it right away.
Yeah.
We don't smoke in the house. We don't damage the house, right? We
I
don't smoke,
Thank God you got that.
and we don't damage it, right? So it's like, all right, he kind of respects it, leaves. The lighter that he carries, I just want to pinpoint everything that I think about because everything that I caught and started, the lighter that he carries. There's a symbol on the lighter. Most people at first glance will think, and by the way, I had to research it, right? Most people at first glance will think, oh, it's just to make the lighter look distinguishable so that the audience thinks, oh, this is an important symbol. It'll come back, whatever, right?
Okay.
The symbol itself actually is very crucial to the film because
I don't remember.
the lighter, she kind of pushes it, right? so that he doesn't find it. And we think, oh, it's so that he doesn't smoke. He doesn't have a lighter to smoke. That's going to take care of that problem. The symbol on the lighter is a South African symbol of a tribe. This tribe's basically one of their big principles. This symbol meant that essentially that elements of the earth, natural elements, are going to correct themselves. There's a natural course of things for natural elements, which is what happens in the end, right? She
Burns
hits the reset button, essentially, right? So via this lighter, via the flame of this lighter, flame elements.
Yeah. Okay.
So
The symbol had that.
Again,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go through these moments because I caught them and it sewed everything together for me.
I'm trying to.
Right.
Yeah. Let me see that thing go.
We get there. The next kind of big moment we see is that these two people get drunk. Javier Bardem's character and Ed Harris's character. They get drunk. They start drinking and get drunk. She wakes up in the middle of the night. He's throwing up. He's coughing up a lung.
He's got something on his rib.
He's got a gash on his chest. That
Wait a minute.
covers up, right?
Wait a minute. Was that before his wife came in?
Yes. That was
Oh
before
my
his wife came
god.
in.
That's crazy.
So that was big. If you biblically,
Wait,
Eve,
so that's the rib.
that's the rib.
That's the rib.
The woman is the rib. So,
Exactly.
I want some baby back,
Yeah.
baby back.
So rib.
Ribs.
Coincidentally, the very next day, Eve shows up.
Oh my goodness.
Eve shows
That,
up.
yeah.
And sure enough, Eve is much more. And I said this. I just noticed that camera and character were very.
You
and it makes so much sense now, right?
You kept saying combative, which we can.
Confrontational. Well, for me, it started very heavy with Michelle Pfeiffer. With
dude,
Eve.
the whole.
She was overstaying her welcome a lot. She was very confrontational. She wasn't shy. She was but confrontational and challenging Jennifer Lawrence's character, right? So, and the camera movement to me felt combative too sometimes and confrontational. So, she doesn't care. She's very invasive. She wants to go up to the study and see that. And he's a famous artist. They've heard of him. They're fans. We later discover that they're fans of this writer. And there's a study. In that study, the study is a representation of the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
Yeah? That's the study. That's why
Did you catch that?
I didn't catch that, but I
Garden of
do know that when she's not working in there though. She just
Who?
Jennifer, no, she's not working in there.
Yeah, Jennifer
just watching
Lawrence
him
character.
trying to-
No, it's because she has that whole line later on, I'm trying to turn this place into a paradise, and it's when she's talking to Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because she's the one why don't you just buy a
she's
new one?
very keen on letting them know. She's very keen on letting them know.
Why
You
rebuild?
can't be in here without him. You can't be in here without him. He doesn't like people being in here while he's not here. The minute she turns her back, Michelle Pfeiffer's character goes up, sure enough, knocks it down, breaks it. They're very apologetic, Ed Harris's character, but they look like crack addicts.
Yeah, there's something off
there's
about
something
it.
off about them. And Javier Bardem's character loses it, yells, kicks
First
them
time
out.
he
First time you
kind
see
of
him.
yeah.
First and almost only time. Until he comes to defend her various times, right?
I love the scene where he doesn't want to give the baby. She wanted.
Oh yeah,
And he just
Yeah,
does the
he's
whole
just
you gotta
Oh,
sleep.
we're going in.
We're
Yeah, my bad, my bad.
We're going
But
chronologically
the
just
reason
because there's
I
so
wanted
much.
to point that
Yeah.
out is because
My
once
fault.
this is broken, we get general imagery periodically, at least 4 or 5 times in the film, where there are transitional scenes of a heart within the walls, or so we think. That heart is a representation of Mother Earth. So the minute the glass breaks, that's the first big moment where we see the heart almost blacken a little bit. Gets tainted.
slowly. Yeah.
Slowly getting tainted, right? The heart. We also there's a lot of imagery with that. There's a lot of imagery with her drinking the yellow tonic, right?
Oh, that's the one thing I didn't understand.
So nobody understands it, including the director. No, so essentially what happens is
Can I tell you my quick
it's
theory?
supposed. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's a stupid one. Never
No,
mind.
what is it? Because the only
It had to be something there was a reason why they haven't gotten pregnant.
no
That kind of went through my head
So
it was her that was trying to prevent
the only
it?
viable explanation that's been out there is that it's alluding to urine. Any yellow liquid in this, because there's yellow liquid seems to be very prevalent in the entire
So she
film.
throws it in the toilet to.
It's just some type of what essentially urine is used to cleanse. Yes.
I don't know.
Like it's sterile.
Yeah, it's sterile. Like it's
just know
supposed
that.
to. You
That's
get
why-
shit out through your pee. that
Oh,
your
okay, no,
body
no,
your
I
body
understand
doesn't
that
want,
for sure.
That's the only viable explanation behind that. There's not really a solid explanation.
Yeah.
So nobody really understood that one. That one's the one that.
And the director, like when he talks about the film, he enjoys the fact that people have their own interpretations.
Yes.
and
That's the
that
beautiful part.
that's-
Yeah.
that they look into it at different angles, that they're questioning like what the heart is and all that kind of stuff. I was watching when they were at the Toronto Film Festival, that they had just screened the film, and somebody in the audience asked, they said like, hey, like what's the whole meaning of this? And then instead he was like, what do you think it is? And then
a very director answer.
Yeah.
yeah, and no, but it's funny because then you hear like Jennifer Lawrence on the side, can I tell him what it is? And he's like, no. And then- so
okay.
I think there is like inherent in the script,
Yeah.
he wrote in like meanings to things,
Yeah.
but he definitely wanted this to be like left to you kind of come up with whatever you want.
Well, something to
I
know,
like it, but it's like
something to know about Aronofsky. If you've seen any of his films, Black Swan, I mean, he's kind of an experimental guy. He's kind of
For
a
sure.
art house guy. He was kind of the bad boy of cinema in terms of technique in the height of his prime. So I just want to note that because he was getting ready to direct a children's film. He had finished the film. He had finished Noah, another biblical story.
Yeah.
And he had just finished the film, and while he was finishing this film, he was getting ready to direct his next picture. It was a kid's film. And then he just had this weird epiphany where he's like, idea, here's the idea. It's a marriage.
5
and it's
days of
gonna
just
be
fucking.
5 days in a fever dream, wrote the script. And once that was kind of delivered, he says, from the minute I finished the first draft to the time we were on production, it was less than a year. That
Wow.
never happens.
That does not.
What's more is, I'm wearing my Paramount shirt today because Paramount was the only studio that had the balls to make this film. They shopped it everywhere. Aronofsky's popular for doing films with Fox. Fox rejected it despite their relationship. He went to every studio. Paramount was the only one that said, okay, read the script. The imagery with the kid freaks us out, but you got Jennifer Lawrence, you got Bardem, you got Michelle,
And-
you got Kristen Wiig, which has
Dude, Kristen Wiig was out of nowhere. The
top
agent.
billing
She's
for
the
5
agent.
minutes of screen time. I don't understand. But anyways, just a great cast.
I
Like
love
if you have
Kristen.
these casts, done.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence signed up because she read the script, and to be fair, she dated Aronofsky during the production. They were together for a long
did.
time.
Wow.
They barely
Wow.
broke up like last year, but she read the script and she said, "I really love this part." She was already signed up for another film. She dropped out of that film just to make.
That's
this.
how much. Yeah.
That gives the studio confidence. This was her first non-blockbuster film. In fact, the box office,
It was
they
not-
didn't bomb. They barely made their budget back. $30 million budget.
it's an
The
artsy
box
film.
office domestic, I think, was $45 million. So they barely made it back. But this was her first film that wasn't a big success. And what's crazy, I just want to hear your thoughts on the acting too, because this film, to begin with, has very mixed reviews. And I have this contention where I don't think humanity was ready for this. I think that's why it gets such mixed reviews, because
Oh, yeah.
we're in a very political, just when it comes to religion, it's taboo to talk about, right? And to explore. And I want to note that in cinema, this has happened once before, where somebody said, let's explore what could have happened. And that was Martin Scorsese when he did The Last Temptation of Christ. When he did The Last Temptation of Christ, he was basically shunned from a bunch of countries. Like China banned Martin Scorsese
I
from
remember.
China. This man needed security at the Vatican when he was going to screen the film for the cardinals and for the Pope. So everybody wasn't open. The Last Temptation of Christ, just to let you know what it's about, it's basically a scenario saying, what if Jesus didn't die on the cross? What if he was tempted and got off the cross and saved his life and didn't save humanity? That's what the film explores. So super taboo.
I like those. Yeah.
You know, so this is in that vein. Like, okay, what if we modernize basically the history of humanity? What if we modernize it? And what if we make people understand, like, yo, we're pretty fucked up people. We're pretty fucked up, like, evolutionary bombshell.
Oh, for sure.
So I just wanted to give that background for people to understand that, like, this wasn't an easy film to get made.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody took the balls and said, let's do it.
That's why I love it.
For how it was made, that's a pretty small budget. And by the way, Matthew Libatek, the cinematographer, man, I love him. I think he's a very great DP. And which I thought was interesting because the first few frames that I saw this one, he's like,
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was like, is there a lot to this? Like,
Okay. Here's what happened. My explanation on the knee jerk reaction of not liking it. I didn't know what the genre was going to be.
it's horror. It's weird, huh?
No. But
It's classified as horror.
if you look at Aronofsky, when he talks about genre, he says, I'm the worst person to talk to about that because he says I don't follow the conventions of like genre. Like sometimes I make films and then people are like, oh, it's a horror, and it's like, well, it's got this.
It's a thriller.
Yeah, like it's a thriller, it's horror, and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I'm not really focused on genre. Like if at the end it's labeled as a horror, sure, why not? But he's not trying to make any type of genre piece. He respects him, but he just says that's not what he's doing.
I like his style.
And when I saw that that intimate close up shots right over her shoulder, looking at these black vague images and all that kind of stuff, I thought it was gonna be gimmicky horror, things jumping out at you, things scaring you. Yeah, and then I got super upset. Then I was like, you know what? If it's gonna do that, then it's not trying to like merit itself in like some deeper meaning. And as time went on, then I started to appreciate that he used that style that I've seen traditionally with like horror films, but he used it. I called it vulnerable. You called it confrontational. Yeah. But to me, I felt like we were so close to
what side of the camera you're on.
Yeah, we were so close to her hip that I felt like when things were happening to her, it was like it was happening to the audience. You know, you're kind of stuck right next to the protagonist. Like,
but she was very defensive, and rightfully so. She's protecting her home.
I got that.
So I think that there was a pretty good balance of both. I learned the fact today that blew me away about cinematography. This was shot in 16mm film.
Really?
The film was shot on 16mm film.
Wow.
How? Where?
Yeah, I was gonna say like.
This looked beautiful for 16mm film.
Well, I mean, we kind of commented that the first few frames were like super grainy, and we were like, is that just meant to be aesthetic? And I guess, yeah, it was meant to like it was meant to play into the aesthetic later on.
This is the first time he does that, by the way. Aronofsky's known for shooting on 16mm. It looks beautiful for a fucking 16mm picture. By the way, it's just hard. You have to shoot so much light at this thing. You have to do things in reverse almost to shoot at 16. And
but I feel like
aspect ratio.
I feel like it comes down to the way light affects the film. And there were those moments where there's this kind of ambiguity and darkness, but I think he wanted to use that kind of poetically, and I feel like this film, it really gave it that texture so he could explore that.
Right.
And definitely with the colors. I mean, it's interesting to see the tonal shifts and how he wanted to kind of play with that through each scene. But
let's go back to the story, because we're not going to unpack everything. There's no way in hell. It's just crazy. No pun intended.
No.
But the brothers, by the way, Domhnall Gleeson and his actual brother play the brothers. They're actual brothers in real life.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Because I know the other. Who's the other guy?
He's an actor too. His last name's Gleeson, Alex Gleeson or something.
Yeah, he just came out in something. But,
Brian Gleeson. Brian Gleeson is a younger brother. Domhnall's amazing, man. We just talked about him. For the other film for
Ex Machina.
For Ex Machina.
Oh yeah, there we go.
But I love him, man. He's just a terrific actor. But Cain and Abel is tackled in this. After Cain and Abel, the reason why Cain and Abel is so important to the Bible is Adam and Eve introduced impurity. Cain and Abel introduced murder, taking the life of another individual.
Right.
That's it's a cardinal sin. It's one of the it's one of the worst things you can do naturally, right? So that's why Cain and Abel is so important. They impurified the home. There's blood on the blood stain doesn't go away after this.
What is that hole? That's what it is?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just like,
well, sort of. It does present imagery towards that too,
what I think it does is that every time that there's something that goes wrong, because they even talk about it that
it all
Mother Nature is the home, and the home is her. So whenever something bad happens in the home, it's a scar and it stains
That's what I
them.
thought,
yeah,
for sure.
Whenever somebody comes in and like ruins an aspect of her, it's that rotting that it almost like can't be undone. She tries to cover it up.
What I thought was interesting though is she does. It heals.
Yeah,
it heals. It doesn't pop up again until the baby is born.
Until the baby's born.
Why? Because when Adam and Eve,
Original sin?
the original sin, Adam and Eve, what were women condemned to? Women were condemned to periods and painful birth.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Not only does she have a very painful birth and the craziness
chaos,
shit that she's
yeah.
going through, but I personally noticed that that's when blood was coming out. Imagery to you're having a kid, you're gonna be condemned to this. So I picked up on that. That's the only time it comes back, and then it stays pretty much because the scar is revisited again.
But I thought that it was starting to come back when the second horde of people started coming in, because you even saw people taking like selfies with it, you know,
Right.
and kind of going there, which I think at that point it's battling or it's juggling now.
So there's a
little bit more modern.
There's actually a theory to that, and that's actually it. This man was already famous. God set in motion everything that happened in the Old Testament.
Exactly.
Moses wrote most of the Old Testament, so the writer, right? He writes a second book because he gets inspired. They have sex. She's pregnant.
Yeah.
Actually, they don't have sex. In fact, there's many things pointing in the film that represent her as mother, as Jesus' mother. We never see them have sex. She basically calls him out for not fucking her. Her words, not mine.
They don't have sex?
They don't have sex. We never see them have sex. When they do kiss and kind of allude to the fact that they're going to the bedroom,
Okay.
the camera, the editing, the transition is a dip to white.
Yeah.
Purity.
Yeah.
Virginity. So, no, we don't ever see them have sex.
Oh, okay.
So she's a virgin. She's a Virgin Mary.
So
In that moment.
Yeah.
Right?
And then also it makes it like look like a really fast transition in time between. It's like she just says, "I just know that I'm pregnant."
Well, yeah,
And-
what
and
was
then-
that about? Because she kind of houses like
Well,
her breast, right? And she
yeah,
she
it's
feels something or whatever.
Yeah, but she just, I don't
She
know.
just knows.
Yeah, she just knows. I feel like it's this kind of cosmic thing, but
The reason I say that is just to get to that. He goes crazy. He's looking for paper. He's trying to write down his thoughts. He has his first inspiration in the wild. Jesus is the Son of God. This is huge, right? So, like, what happens is he writes another book. The book gets published.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Kristen Wiig basically plays his PR publisher.
That's just what it is,
whatever.
right? There's no symbolic. Yeah.
There is a little bit of the media.
Exactly.
And how
Modern.
that-
Yeah.
Well, both. In the Bible, there were zealots. There were people who would talk shit and get killed, basically, because...
Oh, yeah. Pero
But anyways.
Yeah.
So, the imagery there is that his second book that he wrote, that people are coming back for, is the New Testament.
I didn't
why
get
it's
that.
modern.
Really?
I just thought.
You know how we're like, is this the act break? Is this the end of Act 1? Where's Act 2? That we were like, what the hell's going on?
What did I
That's
think
really
there?
the break.
yeah.
When he writes the book and the kid, and it becomes about the kid, is the New Testament.
Because then everything after that is preserving the child, and then the child gets born and all that kind of stuff.
So the flood, that ends the first cycle of humanity. And then we start seeing the growth of people again. And then those people are even more fun.
I gotta see this again,
Right.
man.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I was reading that was an actual thing. This is the separation.
I can
It's
definitely
almost
see
a 2-act play.
yeah.
It's almost a two act play, right? You see that a lot in theater. But anyways, just these are the characters we're introduced to. When we get to the baby, this is where the film
it. Goes heavy.
goes fucking bananas.
I mean,
man.
it goes bananas before the baby even shows up.
a little bit.
No, what do you mean a
Yeah,
little
I
bit?
mean,
That's when they. That's when she was.
That was a build-up, dude.
Right.
That's
Yeah, that was
like,
insane. That was insane.
Caribbean part is like, yo, this can't get worse.
Well, no. Yeah, I mean imagery. No, you're right. I mean, there's shit happening.
Oh,
that's-
no, wait,
that's
what
massive.
you're saying, like-
the people
like,
at the
yeah.
funeral, right? Or what is it called? The quake.
Well, the whole thing that's going
No,
on.
no, no.
like,
I'm
funeral
talking
to-
about it's that quick build up from. There's people at the door that want to interview her, or
No, that's
interview,
what I mean.
interview
The
God,
pregnancy. I guess I
and
should
then
say,
from
I meant the
there,
baby, like pregnancy towards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I don't mean just when the baby's born. I mean like
yeah,
pregnancy.
That
right?
whole-
From
that whole
the
section.
baby, what I mean to say is
that the
that's when it
sequence in
becomes about the
women.
baby.
Yeah.
Not about her. Not about him. The baby's the most important character there at that moment.
Why?
Well, because,
It's Jesus.
yeah,
And in
beforehand.
the New Testament, that's all it is. The New Testament is all about Jesus. It's not about God the Father. It's not about God
I got that. but-
punishing his people. It's not about God. It's the more kinder regime of Christianity. It's Jesus forgiving, and that's why they keep saying right after the death.
Yeah,
we have to learn how to forgive. We have to find a way to forgive, right? So like that, it becomes that side of things. But the pregnancy, it puts her, for lack of a better word, it puts her in front of the camera. It puts her in the spotlight when she's not the artist. She's not the... And I think that's also alluding to like the Virgin Mary, right? The Virgin Mary in Catholicism is a saint, is almost a goddess.
Right.
In Christianity, not quite. In Christianity, Virgin Mary's very important, but she's not a saint or a goddess. She's a character in the story that brought Jesus to life, and that's kind of it.
For sure, but there's a little hole there. No, it's just like Javier Bardem is Joseph.
No, and that's what I was thinking at first, but then we kind of go back.
I don't think we have to be so attached to that because
it's this mix of like because remember Joseph didn't really like
for
play.
sure. But he was the father of Jesus.
I mean, stepfather.
Yeah.
No.
Sure,
But
yeah,
no. That's what I'm saying. That's kind of a moot point because
no.
If anything, Joseph becomes the guy. Look, Joseph becomes the guy that raises him.
Exactly.
We don't see the baby. We don't see it get raised. Like it's not.
Well, they picked it up.
Who picked it up?
The people. They literally raised the baby.
Jeez. Yeah, and then they kill it midair.
Yeah.
But,
Midair.
I was literally telling these guys like when the baby was born, since you start picking up, I'm like, shit.
Yeah, me
when
too.
are they gonna kill him?
Me too.
And then I thought they were gonna do something cool, like
Just the whole chaos.
what I
No.
I thought they were gonna do the Dark Ages.
Yeah,
So
King.
no.
Lion King.
Well, they kind of did that with the ass.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess Lion King kind of copied the Bible too in that scenario. But anyways, I thought they were gonna do the Dark Ages. Like they were gonna the baby was gonna be born, and then all of a sudden he was gonna be 13, because that's how it is in the Bible.
Ooh.
We don't see Jesus as adolescent.
Yeah,
from
there's
1 to 12.
Yeah.
We see him pick it up at 13.
That would have been interesting.
And then boom, we don't see him until he's 33.
Yeah, but
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that could have been cool. But anyways, when the baby's born, that's where the imagery is flooded, man. The screen is flooded. I want to talk a little bit about that because we get into like naturally the Jesus and where Austin picked up. The people quiet down, and there's a little bit of peace in the room.
Yeah.
And she can kind of admire her baby. But she's watching Bardem's character the whole fucking time. Very protective, very motherly, very... I'm not gonna let you touch him. I don't want to introduce him to the people. He's pure.
Yeah.
We introduce him to them, and they're just gonna fuck it up. And sure enough, they fuck it up. Right? So I thought that standoff was one of my favorite things about this film.
For sure.
By the way,
Because he doesn't lose his cool. You think he's gonna lose his cool, but he's still kind of
He's
like.
by the way, a lot of like
I'll let you think it's
Exactly.
yours type of thing.
a lot of that like urine imagery
Yeah.
also popping up. I mean, it's kind of interesting how they very like
Oh yeah.
everything's intentional in film, right? So like having it
You
that
hope so.
the first person that kind of comes in from the paparazzi and all that before the baby's born
Yeah.
is some lady who her child needs to pee and then
Mm-hmm.
ends up like pissing himself, and then like later on that whole image of like they lift up the baby and the baby gets scared and then pisses itself, and I don't know, I'd like to think that there's some kind of intentionality behind that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's that whole thing like we said, it's pure, it's sterile,
It's still,
and maybe
yeah.
it's the sterileness leaving the body for one last time, and then he dies right after.
I mean, that representation is for me was very fascinating. Like Jesus, by all intents and purpose, is the God man. He's the perfect human. That's how he's written. That's who he is. That's who. If you believe in Jesus, you believe, because he was a product of God, right? So he's pure, and he remains pure until they kill him. And the impurity that happens behind it is created by humanity, not by Jesus, right? Not by the God man, not by the God child. When they pick him up, they basically crowd surf this fucking baby. And that's how he dies. He cracks his neck in the middle of the swarm, right? But what's more is she's chasing after him. She's still trying to protect this pureness of her baby. When she gets to the front of the line, it's ceremonial. And we basically see an altar of a church and people eating the flesh of the baby.
The Holy Communion shit.
The Holy Communion.
Yeah.
And though in whatever, in Christianity and Catholicism, it's sacred and it's a representation
Uh-huh.
of him dying for our sins and of us accepting like we fucked up.
No,
We
and then
killed you.
also-
we kind of have to like take this. That's what it is.
You know, for sure.
Representation.
Yeah,
And
I was
you see
doing
a lot
that
of that
phase
church imagery come up super quick,
Yeah.
all around that time. Even the other scene when I think she's going up the stairs, and there's like a priest now who's like marking people, and that whole like Lent and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think one thing I want to start touching on more is the imagery wrapped around that doesn't necessarily feel directly religious,
Right.
but like the
That's where-
police
that's where
coming
it comes
through
in. So
and all that
the
kind of stuff.
SWAT, the police, human trafficking.
Wouldn't that
is-
be? My bad.
No.
Didn't back then like the Persians and stuff like that? Like, didn't something like that happen where like you got two Christian and then like?
Well, yeah, no, sure, but I mean that's kind of how Jesus died. He was basically saying, "I am the God Man," and Jewish leaders were like, "No, you're not. There is no God Man."
Yeah.
So, like, yes, essentially yes, but by modernizing it, it's basically
'Cause it
just
was,
saying,
uh-huh.
it's basically just taking it into like, okay, this is where humanity is fucked up thus far. This is where we could have remained pure. We fucked it up again. Now we get to like everything that happens basically after Jesus' death,
Yeah.
right? Or his
Kinda what I got.
resurrection, because that's the funky part, man. And I think the director was trying to be cheeky too, because whether he's religious or not, which I doubt he is, they basically said, no, he's not dead. He's alive. We don't see any proof of this. And I think that's cheeky.
Well, no, it's kind of going back to the words that like the poet was saying earlier, which is that whole thing of like hearing people cry and all that kind of stuff. That's how he lives. And they were talking to about Abel.
Abel.
Abel's death and all that kind of stuff. And then later on they bring it back that same phrase like, "Oh no, you can hear the cries, so he is alive." And then it kind of plays on that whole irony that he's alive through other people's words, not by him physically being alive anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that line, by the way, because
Wow.
I was hoping, I didn't research enough to find out if this was true or not. There's a very famous line from a writer named, his name's Raymond Carver. And him, God, right, he kept repeating, like, no, you could hear the voice of the people that outcried, right? There's a line, very famous line in literature called, it says, "I could hear everyone's heart. I could hear the human noise that we sat there making. Not one of us moving, not even when the room went dark." And I thought that was a direct correlation. Like, people are gonna people. Like, that people are gonna people. And
Yeah.
that's just what's gonna happen. And the heart imagery is very important in this film. But anyways, I didn't verify that. I just love that line. And I love how they used it in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
People are gonna people, and that's
People are
kind
gonna
of
people.
the point of the film. Like, this is probably where we're gonna end up because people are gonna people.
Yeah.
Like, that's really.
And I
what it came
love,
down to.
I've seen a lot of people tackle this recently. I know that at the beginning of the podcast you mentioned, I don't think humanity was ready for a film like this.
I don't
but
think so.
I've seen people like,
I don't think the American movie-going audience was ready for something like this.
No, I
I've seen some people like, I know it's kind of funny, but like Bo Burnham tackle ideas behind this in the music scheme. I'm really into like Father John Misty and his whole pure comedy album.
Oh, yes.
Deals all about that idea that we're kind of fucking things up, but because we're all so caught up in the chaos, nobody's actually stepping up to change anything. So right now it's just almost like kind of like this film. You're just enjoying the roller coaster ride of it just going straight down really fast, really hard.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Aronofsky made it very clear. Like, I got in this weird moment where I started seeing just all the news headlines, and that's what was informing the writing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So to modernize that whole bit, I want to talk about the moment where a quote unquote, I thought it was a soldier at first, but it wasn't.
The guy that's Caesar?
The guy that no, not that guy. The guy that grabs her and looks at her teeth.
Oh, what was that? Yeah.
That is a thing in human trafficking. For some with women. Like, to
damn,
see
so you
how
got all that.
perfect
Yeah.
they
Oh,
are, yeah.
wow.
So that's one thing. That's one thing humans are doing. Okay, let's set that aside. War. We see war.
Yeah.
We see the contention of war. All the soldiers coming in, blowing shit up. Some guy gets his face blown up. That soldier
The guy that's trying to help.
gets his face blown up. And again, that's just, to me, that was imagery pointing at, like, soldiers go in thinking they're gonna help people, and then they end up fucking getting their heads blown up. So
Also,
is war really good? Type of thing.
also,
Okay.
the one with and I keep forgetting her name, but the one who basically showed up for like a little while.
Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig.
Yeah,
The agent. Yeah.
Where
Oh, dude, I was like,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
I love that whole thing of like
Well, which is the original that? No. That's not. That's when the whole chaos starts happening. She
Yeah,
wants the
yeah.
original.
But she
Oh,
keeps
yeah.
she keeps like I mean we can dissect the line right now of like mentioning, oh, where have you been hiding? And I like how each time we're kind of seeing how she changes. And at first, she's just there to promote the word, and towards the end, I mean right before she dies, I think she's still promoting the word, but it kind of shows how humanity has corrupted it to a point of like now people are deciding who lives and who dies based on
Yes.
a word that they didn't write, you know?
Yes.
And I love that
That's
whole
awesome.
scene, yeah.
So those people, by the way,
Mhm.
the gunshots, people in bags or whatever,
Yeah.
that's alluding to countries who get executed
Like
for
for-
believing or for preaching.
I got
or-
that for sure.
That's
For sure.
That's pretty big, especially
Yeah.
Because she's the
But
agent.
it's
She's the one
so
that, hey, this is gonna
interesting.
go and this is not gonna go.
No, but it's so interesting because you see that flip behind at the very beginning. She's welcoming her with open arms and kissing her on the cheek and being like, "You were the inspiration for all of this."
Uh-huh.
And then the second time around, we see that like she does that again, like, "Oh, where have you been hiding?" But then tells the people like, "Okay, finish her off." Like
Yeah.
kind of like we already
we
know-
got your use.
no, it's
Exactly,
crazy
yeah.
because it's kind of
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, no, I believe in this thing, and you're not really a part of that belief anymore, so we're just gonna get rid of you because that doesn't work out anymore. So the person who's about to have a baby that's supposed to still be the inspiration behind this great word, now it's kind of like, nah, fuck that. We got our way of like handling it, you know. And it's
She
just,
played a very crucial part for sure.
He played a crucial part. Kristen Wiig.
I'm a big fan.
This is Kristen
This is-
Wiig's only second time that she plays a dramatic role.
Yeah, this is not her.
This is the first time they kill her on camera. By the way, I just
Really?
wanted to mention that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because she's.
I'm trying to think, and yeah, that's true.
But anyways, that part was very interesting. But we see the where. I want to talk about Jennifer Lawrence a minute here because Jennifer Lawrence did this whole performance barefoot the entire time. She's barefoot the entire time, as a representation of her being directly connected to that.
Yeah, I definitely got
She's
that.
barefoot.
No
She
bra,
fucking
no.
cracked a rib mid-production.
she cracked her diaphragm.
She cracked her diaphragm. She cracked a rib.
Really?
When she was panting, there was a scene where she hyperventilates. And,
Uh-huh.
and she cracked a fucking
For
rib.
going too hard?
Yeah. To the point where they halted production and they basically created a space for Jennifer Lawrence to like decompress after
Decompress.
each take.
Yeah.
What's more,
Wow.
Jennifer Lawrence didn't act in a single picture for a year after this film. A year.
It was
Because and she said,
mentally,
I
physically.
needed to get this character out. I needed.
She did going
Yeah.
to the
I
acting.
thought
I
it
think
was
she.
terrific, man.
I think she complimented the whole build up.
There's been mixed reviews. If you guys are unfamiliar with the Golden Raspberry Awards, the Razzies. The Razzies are basically the exact opposite of the Oscars. They're a group of critics who basically say these were the worst films of the year.
Batwoman.
You get a worst director, you get a worst actor, you get a. This film. What was interesting about it was when it came out, Jennifer Lawrence got a Raspberry nomination for worst actress. Darren Aronofsky got a nomination for
For
worst.
this one?
Yes, for worst director. Bardem for worst actor.
No.
Yes.
Wow.
And then
Raspberry for like.
they took it. They kind of let the film breathe a little bit, and the Razzies took it back. They made a public statement saying, "We apologize. We didn't mean it."
We're stupid. We're not stupid enough to understand what it was.
I'll say it real quick before I lose the point on Jennifer Lawrence. In that same interview at the Toronto International Film Festival, it was interesting. I think they asked her like, "Oh, what did you think of the role and all that?" And she says that it was just absolutely exhausting. That she cracked her diaphragm, and that she says that this is the only time that she'll ever take a role like this again. But what's interesting is that when she talked about, I guess, kind of the mental trauma behind it, she says they asked her, what's the hardest scene to film? Because, I mean, they're throwing a lot at her. And for some reason, the scene that she brought up is that she thought was the most taxing was she's like, I never want to be put in a film again that has a scene where people come into my home and I'm not ready for them. And she says, and I will never do a scene like that again. And it's almost like she was so attached to the character and being like people just coming in and breaking things and really getting into the idea of like she's everybody's like not only invading her space, but invading her, you know?
While being pregnant and not losing it.
Yeah.
Everything.
And she
until
got
she-
so involved in that. But I think it just kind of shows that for this film, for the idea to work, more than the directing and everything else, I mean, on an acting front, you have to believe it. You have to believe every single minute, every single bit that's going into it, and you could see that they did that. You
I
know?
have to ask you guys.
She compliments a lot the build up where she's just slowly just.
I mean, God, I mean, it's stressful watching her just like sobbing and
Get
seeing
off of that.
somebody.
It's not
not-
tight yet.
it's not
And then she just loses it once the flood starts happening. She's just like,
Get
I mean,
out. So
Go ahead.
I want to ask you guys, Michelle Pfeiffer,
my favorite.
why?
I think she-
and I love Michelle Pfeiffer, man. I think she's very talented. I've seen her in great works.
She's the one that you need. She's the one that you need in this type of film. She's the one that.
because she's a catalyst. Or,
Yeah,
okay.
all that.
I mean,
I didn't think she was the best performance.
Not the best performance, but you could.
I think there was some.
Everyone else,
You're getting
everybody-
frustrated with
what
her.
I've read is you, like people agree with you. She was your favorite. Like I just want to know why, because to
I
me,
think
She's the one that
super
she's
stand
the one that's building tension. She's the one that's just pushing the limits to like.
I was gonna say
She
that
goes upstairs, you know.
You need
she's having
somebody-
sex with this guy right after they just, you know, it's just like.
oh, another thing to note about Eve is the bra. You
Yeah.
notice that? So when she's fucking this dude in the-
Right after.
she knocks later on the door, and now she wears a bra.
Yeah.
The two things to note about her wearing a bra is, one, she was naked before. In the Bible, Adam and Eve hide their nakedness with leaves.
Uh-huh.
Her bra was a leaf green.
Oh.
that's
bra.
cool.
So that was the whole thing behind it.
I love that. I love
I'm
that.
sorry.
I don't know. I was gonna say with her character, I think they were chosen. Everybody was kind of chosen to be like older and I guess kind of like seem like in years they had a step above Jennifer Lawrence character.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like everything was done to kind of put her at a disadvantage. You know.
Well, I will say that I thought
Very
it
well
was pretty ingenious to put somebody like Javier Bardem. Javier Bardem, if I'm not mistaken, is 20 years her senior,
And you can say it, yeah.
right? So I just mean on the God front, like God was around.
Yeah.
For much-
Nah, you're
but-
pushing it, man.
No, no,
Now
no.
you're messing with my head now.
God was around much
That
longer
was
than
good,
Earth was,
yeah.
right? That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
And but they
Ooh.
even like mentioned that. They mentioned the whole age thing.
I want to talk about that too. The original title of this film,
What was it?
The Sixth Day.
The sixth day?
Sixth day.
Day.
Day. Like day number 6. Sixth day.
That would have been interesting.
That would have been on the
Because-
nose.
Yeah, I guess so, but I love the that's the point, by the way. Biblically, we start on the 6th day of creation.
What was the sixth day? Because the seventh
The sixth
day
day was people.
There was light. Or no?
Sixth
Yeah.
day was people.
Oh, really?
The sixth day was people. So
Yeah.
the creation of Adam, and then everything that comes after that, right?
Yeah.
So we start on the 6th day of creation.
It would have been 2 on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess fine, whatever. But
But it
principle,
just-
the principle that the
Yeah.
film starts on the 6th day, and we see the trajectory of it. I just thought that was great. I thought
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
really cool.
See, I'm already seeing you guys' scores is going to go up for sure.
No, I already have kind of like my updated score. It went really down, man. This
What?
film sucked. No.
No, but okay, no. Getting back to let's just kind of keep pushing to
Go for it.
wrap it up there. But after all of this happens, and we see all the imagery of war and modernism of humanity and how shitty humanity is, we finally get to the moment where she says, "I want to fucking end it. I'm done. I'm going down to the cellar where I know that this oil rig is.
Yeah, she found that oil rig.
This oil rig is there. She broke that false wall. She knows where this thing is. She knows where this.
Before you go, what was that? The whole thing on that?
Oh, well, think about it. I mean, right now we're kind of running Earth dry of oil,
what it was.
and
Well,
we're
yeah,
all
I think
running.
it kinda-
You
There,
guys know the
there's
frog?
little like cogs.
Do you
What's
know
the
about the
frog?
frog? The frog is a representation of dinosaurs, fossil fuel. There's one left.
No,
Yes!
don't do this
Yes!
to me, bro.
Yeah, man.
I didn't know that
was
one.
Great.
That's
that,
good.
that was so good because of reptiles.
Yeah.
an ancestor.
But basically, you
And,
know,
yeah,
we're
some of-
like,
yeah.
think about it. Like, they keep talking about how we're not doing a big enough push towards changing what we are right now. So the second oil runs out, they're saying that's their main form of power. Like once,
the oil's burnt up,
yeah. Then what? Then what are you gonna do?
just fucking burnt up. Well, Mother Earth decided to fuck it up for you, and she's gone. She's burnt.
Yeah, exactly.
She's dead.
Now,
and you're done. There's no more oil. There's no
Here's
more
what I'm
life.
gonna say, and I guess I kind of had this idea when we started having this conversation. There's
Let me
another.
say, if you didn't catch that in the film, so that you know what we're talking about. She goes to the cellar. She brings the lighter with her. with the symbol.
That
symbol
fixing
of like
things.
the elements have to
correct
have to
themselves.
Correct themselves. And she goes down to the cellar, and people are following her, by the way. And Bardem's character's like knows exactly what she's gonna do, so is kind of almost trying to talk her out of it.
Yeah.
She bursts open the oil rig. She lights it on fire, including herself.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's dead. The house is burnt to a crisp. The final kind of frame we see before the end scene is God carrying her out and then breaking her chest open to grab her heart, because he says, what I thought was interesting is her line. She says, "Who are you? What are you?"
Yeah.
And he says, "I am I." That's an actual line from the Bible.
I am I. I am I.
Capital I's, capital. This is I am God. I am He. I am I. This is from the Bible. And what's more is like we get into that faction of to Mother Earth, this was just a marriage. This was just her husband, or this was just a relationship. This was just that. She didn't know he was God. She was just married.
Oh.
She was just living life married. She didn't see him as this great. She was just saw him as his. You know, and by the same thing, he knew exactly.
Kind of like, yeah.
So he was carrying her out and says, his final line, I think, is something along the lines of, she says, "I gave everything I have to give." He says, "But I want your love." And that's when he grabs her heart, breaks the heart, and then forms a new diamond. Or a new crystal.
Or like finds it within.
Within,
She goes to ash, right? She becomes ash.
The house rebuilds itself like at the beginning of the film.
And when we get there, we get to the end frame, right? He establishes the thing back. Everything restores itself, just like we saw in the beginning. And then when the girl appears, it's not Jennifer Lawrence. It's a different girl. Which begs the question, this has happened before.
Exactly.
This isn't the first or last time. Because the first girl on fire was a different girl.
Yeah.
It wasn't Jennifer.
Yeah.
Then it was Jennifer.
I'm glad you caught that, because you were... Did you have a question on that?
No. What I was going to say, and maybe it's just because of the point in time we're in. Also, as of the airing of this yesterday, NASA sent a rocket to the moon. And it's because we're thinking about having future manned missions on the moon and all that. I'd like to think, because again, this is Mother Earth and the house and, you know, this relationship between God and Mother Earth.
Builds a house elsewhere.
No, I think it's that. I think it's the same
Story.
It's the same story, but I think it's taking it.
It's the same story. What?
It's the same story, but it's going to be on a different. Okay, this might sound
so
no,
cheesy, but on a different planet.
A massive argument amongst the Christian.
I was saying the same.
The Christian and either agnostic or atheist communities are, well, if Jesus came to save the world, what about the other 10,000 planets that are on? That's the whole argument, right? Well, did Jesus go to every planet and save all of that creature? You know, so I think that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
If he builds a house on each planet and there's a different woman, this is Mother Earth. She's gone.
I almost feel like
start anew somewhere else.
Because if you think about it, like the thing he's taking and the thing everybody wants, it's almost like that spark of I don't know what your guys' interpretation of the crystal is, but to me, it's almost like humanity and like the heart and soul of people.
I think it's purity.
Purity.
I think it's purity because the minute it breaks, he loses it. Everybody knows he could just build a new one. That's not the point. The point is trial number 1,362.
I'm seeing what you're saying though.
I wanted this one to survive. I want this one to work. Now that it's broken,
because
I know how it's going to corrode the rest of it.
I just feel like if that's Mother Earth and she dies, then what is the next person? Next person
Mother
has
Earth
to
2 or whatever. Yeah,
well, the Mars.
The Mars.
Yeah, I genuinely think it's that.
Well,
I think it's this idea of longevity lived out on other places.
I'm going too weird with it.
What do you think?
No, because obviously wouldn't it be a different environment and stuff like that? I just think it's like anything in the Earth.
Oh,
Just
evolution.
Or not evolution, but just like another
round.
reset, right? You know,
But even
but that's the thing.
I like that because even
but in the same Earth.
Even anytime, for instance, the flood, geologically, different principle, different plants, different species, different everything has happened from prehistoric eras, Jurassic eras. Like we experience different plants, different evolution, period, right?
I was gonna say that.
So if it's just a new Mother Earth, it's a new environment.
Yeah.
on the earth. So
Yeah.
that could
Well,
very well.
yeah,
be-
that's what I
I
was kinda
think
going.
that's one thing. I just know
Which is
that
cool, though, like,
right
go to
now
the planet.
we're
Both
kind of in
another
this talk
universe.
of we're in this talk of like irreversible damage that's being done, and this idea
Yeah.
that like right
we
now.
won't be alive whenever.
No,
it
it's
starts
kind of like this
affecting
idea of like there's like you keep seeing headlines where it's kind of like, oh, we're at the point where temperatures increased enough where now certain areas where there used to be ice or certain temperatures like that won't exist anymore. Oh, we've already hit a point where if we didn't go sustainable, so now pollution's gonna have an irreversible damage.
I was going, yeah.
The same thing with like
Lawrence-
air and water. It's just
Jennifer Lawrence described this story, as her words exactly, the raping of Mother Earth.
Yeah, for sure.
Raping and pillaging and destruction of Mother Earth. Raping being the first word, like the strongest word, right?
Taking advantage of it.
I mean,
Yeah.
if that's not what
Here's
we're
my
doing-
question: is that this is going a little bit back, and I don't know where, but I just thought about it. When you think of God, He's fair, He's lovable. Yeah, He's kind of
whatever.
just or whatever, right? Why did they show him, the poet,
Uh-huh.
so amused with the attention?
With the attention, because that's what I mean. Look at its. A lot of people
Because
believe
we
people
know God,
that-
He's so subtle. Like, shit, yo, let me know if you're.
Yeah.
Why is he in this one? Like,
number one, that didn't happen until after the Old Testament. It wasn't after the New Testament. So
okay, you give me on that.
at the New Testament, God stopped audibly talking to people. He spoke through His Son.
Also, in the Old Testament,
He talks to people directly. Tells Abraham, "Kill your son."
that's
right?
where I'm interpreting. Like,
Yeah,
yo,
yeah.
now you say that, and that feels crazy.
No, but
Take up the hospital.
well, I mean, in all fairness, if we're reflecting the film to the life,
Mm-hmm.
we haven't gotten to the end of the film,
Ah.
right? So, like for our version, our era, our timeline, whatever, we haven't gotten to the end of the
Okay.
film, right? So we're still in the New Testament.
Pero
My point is,
why is he so intrigued with the attention?
this is why. This is the bone I have to pick with film, and this will be my last point on this.
Yeah, and then
we can
we'll
wrap it up.
do ratings.
My bone to pick with the film is that they showed God, they depicted God as a borderline pathetic, desperate artist.
That's kind of where I was going.
Needy,
That's a little harsh.
Well, no,
But I see what you're saying. That's where I'm going with
needy,
too, for sure.
He's attention seeking, but a lot of people do unfortunately believe that God. I mean, what was it? No, this is biblical. This is actually in the Bible.
These are questions I've asked.
God created people to worship Him, point blank. That's it. That's
Really?
what people are for.
Really?
To worship God. A creation.
Like, I know that's what the church is, but I know that was his.
A creation to
Yeah.
worship Him. What other purpose do humans have?
No. To me, that's the human idiotically. Oh, we're supposed to worship this guy.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was his intent.
No, but that's
just
that's
the-
that's the thing.
Being stupid.
Biblically, we don't know, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
Churches-
yeah, exactly.
what humans, inspired by God and many things,
Like we saw in the film, they just go
wrote
like,
the Bible, right? So biblically,
Yeah.
human people are saying that's why we were created. We were just created to worship God. Period.
okay.
That's it. Every tribe, every era has their version of that. Aztecs and Mayans believe that we're made to worship the elements.
Mhm.
You know, everybody has their own interpretation.
You know what I think's interesting, going into that point a little bit, is also you see that picture, and during the period when you say that God did speak to people, the picture is like complete, and it's almost like they're talking to somebody that they can see and all that. And then later on, the picture gets torn up, and it's very
Fractured.
vague. It's fractured, and it's not a clear image, and it's
a
at
clear
that,
connection.
yeah, it's not a clear
person.
connection. And at that point, that's when we start seeing where people just go apeshit, trying to make
Ooh.
their own thing.
And God doesn't. There's no
I can never write a
interaction.
film like this. I can never.
There's
That
no interaction until he interacts with Mother Earth. He doesn't interact with people.
No, and then also
that's good.
the thing that people say.
I think it's also resentment.
Resentment
I think it's also resentment.
for?
God, you destroyed who I love the most. You tortured her. You raped her. You fucking. You did this.
okay.
Like, I think it's resentment towards people. Like, I fucking loved you guys, but after you did this to her, I'm turning my back on you.
You think so?
I think so.
What do you think, Delo? I don't.
I just feel like there's a question that keeps coming up, and that's where we see like agnostic and atheist communities kind of thrive in this question of like, well, if he's so powerful, and you see all this stuff before the stories when basically he could snap his fingers and correct whatever he needed to with the flood and everything, and then now he's not doing that, and we're still seeing suffering. We're seeing people abusing his word, and you see Mother Earth being like, just tell them to leave, tell them that this is it and all that, and he's like, I wish you could.
I wish you could.
Yeah, I wish you could. And it's like, of course you can. Of
That's
course you
the
could do
bone.
it, and that's
the conversation.
yeah, and then that's the I think bone you're picking is that, you know,
The bone I'm picking is like, well, it's not even like, I mean, sure, it's half of it's defending my beliefs and believing that God is not some pathetic dude, right? But the other half of it is like, I don't know that validates anything for me. Like, God is a pushover? Like,
no, I'll say this. At the end of the day, this script, and when I see little interviews here and there, he keeps telling the audience, like, oh, it's whatever you think it means and all that. But then his cast says, oh, but that's bull. You obviously knew what this meant, and you could just tell everybody. So, obviously, I think when he wrote this script, he wrote it with a very specific mindset and intention.
The bottom line, yes, to create dialogue for how people and religious bigots treat the earth, and then justify killing other people.
Beautiful writing.
And using the Bible as their basis, and when Mother Earth and God wanted something so much more pure for them, like when they didn't create religion, people did. Number one, like that's kind of the faction of it. All right, so like, but my whole thing with that is like, the bone I had to pick is in its foundational level, man. I mean, a lot of people just really do believe that God created people to worship Him. That's the only purpose we have, and that's why He's so in the film. That's why He's so obsessed with people and not cutting
and having more people come.
Yeah,
he doesn't tell people like, wait, guys, like murdering off my name, that's crazy. He's just kind of like,
he does in the Old Testament. He does with the brothers.
Yeah, of course.
He grabs one of the brothers when he's hitting the mom or whatever.
Yeah,
he's like,
no, but like
attacking the mom.
Later on,
the
when things get more severe, there's people being trafficked, there's people being murdered in his name. It's kind of like, damn, that's crazy, right?
You know what's interesting too? I don't know, maybe I'm reaching. When all of the chaos is happening, human trafficking, war, fucking people hungry, literally people were asking.
I can't believe he fit all that into
all of that. Oh, by the way, he rehearsed for 3 months in an empty warehouse.
Dude, that was amazing.
In order to make the camera movements, in order to rehearse everything. But anyways, maybe I'm reaching, but in the midst of all this, all he was seeking was to save her.
Yeah,
he was just like
going
after her,
and they're like, no, don't
like,
stop.
If I don't save her, if I don't save her, we're fucked.
Okay.
My creation is fucked if I don't save her.
But then
it's too late. Like, I have to save her.
But then the baby came out, and he just kind of...
Yeah, but I mean, that's what happened in life, right? Jesus was born. He was here to save all of us. And then after he died, we're still fucking things up. You know, like, it's kind of like, you know...
That domino is one of the big dominoes.
So,
so much.
Ratings, final thoughts. I'd like to go back to Austin. And as we do on this show, the people not on camera get a fun fact. Fun fact about Austin... He is 5'2" in bed, but 6'3" when standing. Figure that one out. Austin, what are you rating?
That literally makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to grasp. What do you mean?
It's crazy. It's a fun fact.
It's cold in here.
1 to 10. That's all we need.
After all the explanations, I'd bump it up to 8.2.
8.2.
Nice. All right.
Another rewatch.
Okay.
Are you a religious person or not? You like
Yeah, I was raised Catholic.
Yeah. Do you ever flirt like?
I've flirted.
You know, like maybe no.
I don't talk religions and politics on the podcast.
Cool. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, my priest name was.
Okay. Carlos,
Pee-wee Herman.
Rating.
I go up to an 8.5.
Okay. So why? Just because you saw
explanation and dissection.
Exactly, right. Even more than the imagery, the connective tissue.
Yeah. How to write that? I
mean, to be fair, it was already written for him. But
no, right? But
I mean, to make a 2-hour package.
Visual of what the writer was trying to. You the low?
I went from a 6.9.
Yeah, bro, that's pretty low, dude. That's like
to an 8.7. Wow. And I already felt like this was going to go up to an 8.5, but I'll give it a couple more just for the fact that, again, combining a story and having a vision this solid that then goes up and you're able to connect everything together. And when we talk about it, it really does feel seamless. And when you watch the film, you don't feel these breaks. You just feel like everything's happening, and then you sit back and you're like, wow, I can't believe this man in 2 hours made a leap from here to here. And then you explaining the whole like 2-act structure and the books. I mean, that feels like, wow, you really had a defined package from like the Old Testament and the New Testament. It's really impressive. Really impressive.
We talk about love. Gastro.
Mine went from a 9.6. I can't put it at 10 because Cable Guy is just too up
Do you
there.
want to leave it at a 9.6?
No, I'll put it at 9.8. Just from hearing from you guys, and it's just...
It really did hit hard.
I gotta like say it again, dude. This is a film I don't think I could do.
No. It takes... But just like, by the way,
and me,
even if you just know the Bible from
exactly,
being a kid,
and me growing up with the Bible,
takes multiple readings. Scholars, there's biblical scholars that dedicate their whole life to interpreting this book and don't always. I mean, that's the point.
I always admire that when they pull it off, because there's a lot of people that don't pull it off. He definitely
super impressive.
This was one of the very best interpretations of Bible and mankind.
Such a different view.
Yeah.
Eric, what's your rating?
6.
Fun fact about Eric: he picks daisies and eats them.
I have before we wrap it up, I'd like to read a statement from Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
We're out of time.
Which I
pretty
think
cool.
is very, very important.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pear Podcasts.
Get the tape.
Just can you unplug this guy's mic?
Here's the statement. Bear with me.
Yeah, go for it.
It is a mad time to be alive. As the world population nears 8 billion, we face issues too serious to fathom. Ecosystems collapse as we witness the extinction of at an unprecedented rate. Migrant crises disrupt governments. A seemingly schizophrenic U.S. helps broker a landmark climate treaty and then months later withdraws. Ancient tribal disputes and beliefs continue to drive war and division. The largest iceberg ever recorded breaks off in an Arctic ice shelf and drifts out to sea. At the same time, we face issues too ridiculous to comprehend. In South America, tourists twice kill rare baby dolphins that wash the shore, suffocating them in frenzy of selfies. Politics resemble sporting events. People will starve to death while others can order any meat they desire. As a species, our footprint is perilously unsustainable, yet we live in a state of denial about the outlook of our planet and our place in it. From this primordial soup of angst and helplessness, I woke up one morning and this movie poured out of me like a fever dream. All of my previous films gestated with me for many years, but I wrote the first draft of Mother in 5 days. Within a year, we were rolling cameras. And now 2 years later, it is an honor to return to the world premiere. I imagine people may ask why the film has such a dark vision. Herbert Selby Jr., the author of Requiem of a Dream, taught me that staring into the darkest parts of ourself is where we find light. Mother begins as a chamber story about a marriage. At the center is a woman who is asked to give and give and give until she can give nothing more. Eventually, the chamber story can't contain the pressure boiling inside. It becomes something else which is hard to explain or describe. I can't fully pinpoint where this film came from. Where this film all came from. Some came from headlines we face every second of the day. Some came from the endless buzzing of notifications of our smartphones. Some came from living through the blackout of Hurricane Sandy in downtown Manhattan. Some came from my heart. Some came from my gut. Collectively, it's a recipe I won't ever be able to reproduce. Yeah. But I do know this serving is best drunk as a single dose in a shot glass. Knock it back. Salute.
Beautiful,
that's crazy.
Dude. Beautiful.
So that's all he kind of has to say.
Yeah.
The rest is your interpretation. Yeah. Right? So, check out Mother. It's not really streaming anywhere because we had to find it elsewhere.
It's not a date night film.
Right, it's on Showtime.
It's not a date night film.
It's not a date night film. It's I have time to ponder about a film for some time after this.
I'll say this. Recommendations is that if you are into things like Hereditary or any type of like Ari Aster film, then you have the stomach to handle it, but you're going to have the same kind of gut-wrenching feeling going through it. So
I'll say in the other one, man. If you're in my position where you kind of like question a lot of religion stuff, but you grew up very religious, this is definitely one of those that will have you talking with your friends that are also religious.
Great film.
Yeah. No, you should really check it out. I think this is what film is about. I really do think this is what cinema is meant for, is to create dialogue. It's to poke at like beliefs to a certain degree, at least question them, at least explore them. Explore being the operative word. And I actually have one more kind of thing to mention.
Go for it.
My hero, Martin Scorsese, talks about this film.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he doesn't...
See? I know how to pick him.
Yeah, you do. He doesn't... Shit. I'm trying to find the quote because I read it last night. But I'll just say this. Marty doesn't really talk about modern cinema anymore. He stays in his cave and makes his own films and curates cinema for people and encourages people to watch films. He doesn't come out publicly with something unless you feel strongly about it. In the last 20 years, Marty has come out to talk about cinema in stop watching fucking Marvel movies way, or just saying like Marvel movies aren't for me. I want cinema to be preserved in this way. He came out to talk about Aronofsky in this film and said Marty was going to be a priest. So like that was his career line. And then he made films and when he saw Mother, it was so gut-wrenching to him, but he said that this is what was driving cinema forward. He's only done that one more time with Ari Aster, who was the director of Midsommar and Hereditary. And only recently he talked about the film you keep wanting me to watch. Jeez. Not X, the sequel. Pearl.
Oh, Pearl.
So he only comes out to talk about cinema when it's impactful and he feels that the filmmaker is driving cinema forward, is encouraging dialogue and is encouraging conversation, and he wants you to walk out of the theater being like, yo, what the fuck, what are you thinking? I thought this and I saw that.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be genre. It doesn't have to be anything special, but he like stamp of approval. Marty wants you to see this and talk about it with your friends afterwards, essentially.
Yeah.
And hopefully that inspires conversation of like, shit, man, we're really fucking up, right? I mean, that's the long-term goal, right?
Yeah.
But I've always thought that, the goal of film is that if it makes you feel anything, then, it's a good film, If it brings any reaction out, positive or negative. I mean, it's not a positive watch through. It's a very hard one, but the fact that it's able to connect with you and make you feel something, and again, bring out a conversation, that makes a great film.
Beautifully put, man.
We have been sober.
We're gonna be sober for like another hour.
Wow. Well, thank you.
I'm glad that I picked this film.
Yeah.
I just I was kind of scared. I was gonna pick another one that just in my wheelhouse, but I was very, very sure that you guys were gonna like and appreciate this type of film because I know you guys were, you guys pick apart the details, the cinematography, and everything.
A lot of details.
Read the article, Vanity Fair article about Scorsese and Mother. Literally, the headline is Martin Scorsese thinks you're all wrong about Mother because this film got bad reviews.
Wow.
We got bad reviews and didn't make money at the box office. He says this: only a true passionate filmmaker could have made this picture, which I'm still experiencing weeks after I saw it, and that's the fucking point.
Wow.
Watch Mother. Talk to your friends about it. Talk to your religious leaders about it. Talk to everybody and anybody about it. And don't start a war. Have an intelligent conversation where you can push the world forward and humanity forward because we're fucked if we don't. So, Mother is so important. Please check it out. Thank you for tuning into the WatchTower Podcast. Do we have our next pick?
Whose is it?
I think it's yours.
Is it mine first?
It's yours and then it's mine.
And then it's yours. Okay, so...
Oh, you were saying another because of this one, but you had thought another one, but you have another one?
Yeah, we've already run through everybody.
We've
Okay.
So, my next pick for the WatchTower is In the Mood for Love.
Oh, my goodness.
Interesting.
No, it's Korean.
It's a good film.
It's a great film.
Yep.
In the Mood for Love. It's such a terrific picture. We're going back to romance, guys. No, this is just depicted
from
in
this to this,
such
we need
a
that
crazy way, and it breaks your heart, and then it forms it back together, and then it breaks it again. It's such a terrific picture. We're gonna cover In the Mood for Love. I know a lot of you on Instagram have I've posted or poster when I watched the film. I screened it for the law for Austin, and I posted about it, and people comment every single time I post about it. People are like, "Dude, yes, I love that film. It's one of my favorites." So, In the Mood for Love. Check it out next time on the WatchTower Podcast. Thank you for watching cinema. Thank you for going to the cinema, and keep collecting home media because it's important and we want to preserve cinema. So,
yes,
keep talking to your friends about films, man. We'll catch you guys next time on the WatchTower Podcast.
I love you guys.
Later, guys.